2026 did not begin with an announcement, a press release, or a confirmed project. It began with questions. Quiet ones at first. The kind fans ask in comment sections, the kind that trend before anyone realizes why. And at the center of those questions were two familiar names that never seemed to fully leave the conversation, Ji Chang-wook and Nam Ji-hyun. For years, their connection has existed in a strange space between memory and possibility. Not something loud or dramatic, but something that lingers. Something that never quite closes. And as the new year unfolded, fans began noticing that once again, without warning, Ji Chang-wook and Nam Ji-hyun were trending. Not because of a new drama, not because of a shared event, but because the silence around them suddenly felt louder than usual. It started subtly. A resurfaced clip from years ago began circulating again, this time paired with new commentary. Fans weren't just rewatching it for nostalgia. They were watching it differently, looking closer, listening more carefully, pausing on expressions that once seemed casual but now felt loaded with meaning. A glance held a second too long. A smile that softened unexpectedly. A moment of shared laughter that felt too natural to be rehearsed. What made it different this time was timing. 2026 had just begun, and both Ji Chang-wook and Nam Ji-hyun were at turning points in their careers. Ji Chang-wook, having spent years balancing intense action roles with emotionally complex characters, had recently spoken about wanting projects that felt honest and grounded. Nam Ji-hyun, meanwhile, had been praised for choosing roles that reflected growth rather than hype, earning respect for her quiet confidence and consistency. Fans began asking the same question from different corners of the internet. Why now? Why are we talking about them again? Then came the small details. Ji Chang-wook liking a post that referenced a past collaboration. Nam Ji-hyun mentioning, in an interview unrelated to romance, that she values partners who understand silence and patience. On their own, these moments meant nothing. Together, they felt intentional, or at least meaningful enough for fans to notice. What fans remember most is not just the project they shared, but how they were together during that time. Behind-the-scenes clips still exist online, quietly accumulating views. In them, Ji Chang-wook is relaxed in a way fans rarely see. Not performing, not guarding himself. Nam Ji-hyun, usually reserved, laughs freely around him, her posture open, her expressions unfiltered. It never looked like acting off camera. It looked like comfort. As 2026 progressed, fan discussions shifted tone. This was no longer about shipping for fun. It became about curiosity, respectful curiosity. People weren't demanding confirmation. They were asking whether something unfinished still existed. Whether two people who once shared a genuine connection simply chose to protect it by keeping it private. Industry insiders have never confirmed anything, and that silence has only added fuel to speculation. Unlike other rumored pairs, there were never scandals, never denials, never forced distance. Just two actors who moved forward independently while remaining oddly parallel in their choices, values, and timing. Fans began noticing patterns. Both avoiding excessive variety show exposure. Both choosing interviews where they spoke more about craft than personal life. Both expressing similar thoughts about relationships needing trust, privacy, and time. Again, none of this proves anything. But in the world of celebrity culture, patterns often speak louder than statements. What truly reignited interest was a moment fans didn't expect. At an industry event early in the year, Ji Chang-wook and Nam Ji-hyun were not photographed together. Yet attendees reported something curious. They arrived separately. They sat separately. But they left within minutes of each other. No photos. No videos. Just timing. And timing, fans believe, is rarely accidental. Online forums exploded quietly. No headlines screamed scandal. Instead, thoughtful threads appeared, analyzing body language from old clips, comparing interview answers from different years, mapping timelines not to expose, but to understand. Fans weren't chasing gossip. They were chasing context. Many longtime supporters pointed out something important. If there was ever something between Ji Chang-wook and Nam Ji-hyun, it was never built on publicity. It was built on shared space, shared work, and shared understanding. That kind of bond doesn't need constant reinforcement. Sometimes, it survives precisely because it is left alone. 2026 also marked a shift in how fans view celebrity relationships. Loud confirmations no longer feel necessary. What resonates now is authenticity, consistency, the feeling that two people might choose each other quietly, away from noise, and that this choice deserves respect rather than exposure. Ji Chang-wook has often spoken about protecting the people he cares about. Nam Ji-hyun has repeatedly emphasized boundaries and self-respect. When fans connect those values, they don't see secrecy. They see intention. As weeks passed, the trending topic refused to fade. Articles began appearing, not claiming romance, but asking why the interest remained so strong. Why, after years, this pair still evokes such emotional response? The answer seemed simple. Their connection never felt manufactured. It felt real enough to last in memory, and ambiguous enough to invite hope. There is also the possibility that nothing romantic ever happened. Fans acknowledge that too. And yet, even in that scenario, the bond they shared still stands out as something rare in the industry. Mutual respect, ease, trust. Those qualities are compelling regardless of labels. What makes 2026 different is not new evidence. It's perspective. Fans are older. The industry has changed. Privacy is valued differently. And Ji Chang-wook and Nam Ji-hyun now exist in a space where their past is no longer something to capitalize on, but something to quietly carry. Some fans believe 2026 might bring a reunion project. Others believe it will bring nothing at all. And that's exactly the point. The questions don't need answers to matter. The story doesn't need confirmation to feel complete. Because sometimes, what trends isn't a relationship. It's a reminder of a time when chemistry felt natural, when connection wasn't forced, when two people met at the right moment, shared something meaningful, and then let it exist without explanation. As the year continues, fans will keep watching, not obsessively, but attentively, not demanding, but hopeful. Whether Ji Chang-wook and Nam Ji-hyun ever stand side by side again publicly or continue walking separate paths, one thing is clear. In 2026, they are trending again not because of what they show the world, but because of what they never tried to prove. And sometimes, that is the most powerful story of all. As the weeks moved deeper into 2026, something else began to happen. The conversation around Ji Chang-wook and Nam Ji-hyun stopped feeling like a rumor cycle and started feeling like a reflection. Fans weren't just talking about them anymore. They were talking about what they represented. In a world where celebrity relationships are often announced with carefully chosen words and coordinated timing, Ji Chang-wook and Nam Ji-hyun stood out by doing none of that. No confirmations, no denials, no playful teasing meant to feed speculation. Just two people continuing their lives, careers, and growth without ever addressing the noise around them. And that silence began to feel deliberate. Fans revisited old interviews, not looking for slips, but listening for consistency. Ji Chang-wook once said that the most meaningful connections in his life were the ones that didn't need constant reassurance. Nam Ji-hyun once shared that she believes real bonds don't fade just because time passes. Those words, spoken years apart, suddenly felt connected in a way no one had noticed before. What stood out most was how neither of them ever tried to rewrite the past. They never distanced themselves from their shared project. They never dismissed it as just work. When asked about it, their answers were always warm, respectful, and careful. Not defensive, not nostalgic, just honest. That honesty is what made fans linger. In early 2026, Ji Chang-wook appeared in an interview where he was asked about chemistry with co-stars. He smiled before answering, a pause that fans immediately noticed. He said chemistry isn't something you force or plan. It's something that either exists or doesn't, and when it does, you protect it by not overexposing it. He didn't mention names. He didn't need to. Days later, Nam Ji-hyun gave an interview of her own. When asked about working with people who leave a lasting impression, she said some connections don't need to be revisited to remain meaningful. Some people stay with you quietly, shaping how you see work, trust, and partnership long after the project ends. The timing of those interviews wasn't lost on fans. Still, there were no photos, no accidental sightings, no leaked messages. And strangely, that absence only strengthened the belief that if something existed, it was being intentionally protected. Online discussions shifted again, this time toward maturity. Fans began saying things like, if they are together, I hope they're happy, or if they're not, I'm grateful for what they showed us back then. This wasn't obsession. It was appreciation. There was also a growing realization that Ji Chang-wook and Nam Ji-hyun never benefited publicly from being linked. There was no marketing push, no couple branding, no attempts to capitalize on fan interest, which raised a quiet question. If there was nothing to gain, why would the connection still feel so real years later? Some industry watchers suggested that their bond might have simply been one of perfect timing. Two people meeting at a moment when both were open, present, and aligned. Not every meaningful connection needs to last forever to matter. Sometimes, its purpose is to change you, not stay with you. But fans noticed something else. Both Ji Chang-wook and Nam Ji-hyun seemed to evolve after that period. Their choices became more intentional. Their interviews more thoughtful. Their boundaries firmer. It was as if that experience taught them the value of protecting what matters, whether that was a relationship, a friendship, or simply their sense of self. As spring approached, rumors of upcoming projects began circulating. Nothing concrete, just whispers. Fans wondered, not for the first time, what would happen if they ever worked together again. Would the magic return? Or had it already fulfilled its purpose? Interestingly, many fans admitted they didn't actually want a reunion drama. Not because they didn't want to see them together, but because the story already felt complete in its own quiet way. Forcing a sequel might disrupt what made it special in the first place. And yet, hope remained. Not loud hope, gentle hope. Hope that two people who once understood each other so effortlessly still do, in whatever form that takes. Hope that if they ever cross paths again, it will be on their own terms, not because of pressure or expectation. By mid-2026, the trend slowed but never disappeared. Ji Chang-wook and Nam Ji-hyun became one of those names that resurfaced every time fans talked about genuine chemistry, respectful partnerships, and relationships that didn't need to be defined publicly to be real. And maybe that's why this story refuses to end. Because it isn't built on scandal. It isn't fueled by controversy. It doesn't rely on proof. It survives on memory, consistency, and the rare feeling that what we saw wasn't an act. Whether Ji Chang-wook and Nam Ji-hyun are simply two professionals who shared an unforgettable working relationship, or two people who chose to keep something meaningful private, the result is the same. They left an impression that time hasn't erased. In 2026, when everything moves fast and attention shifts daily, the fact that people are still talking about them says more than any confirmation ever could. Some stories don't need conclusions. They just need to be remembered.